Now, I'm having some difficulty recalling all of the Peter Davison episodes, but Mawdryn Undead is probably my favorite of his second season for Peter Davison. It's just so cool. Of course, you get the Brigadier returning, and this cool split between time and a clever use of time travel within the show, and they do it very well, and they thought it out, even though apparently this was kind of a last-minute replacement for a script they couldn't figure out or couldn't agree on or something like that, which I think ended up becoming a big Finnish story or something. And so they had to hurry up and come up with something else, which is astounding, because I think that this shows like it was really well thought out as far as getting this all right. And it introduces a new companion in Turlo, with again thinking of a new way to have someone in where he's a possible villain, as he becomes a pawn of the Black Guardian, and supposed to kill the Doctor, And so you had the really cool return of the Brigadier, where he's become a teacher at this boys' school and all that. And Turlo is there, but turns out he's really an alien. He's kind of like Ford Prefect. I don't know if he got stuck on Earth for 15 years, but he's stuck on it and he wants out. And then he stumbles upon this, transmat capsule that belongs to these people that we later learn were some alien race that wanted to become Time Lords and tried to figure out a regeneration. Little did they know that it was a timeless child from another universe. Yeah, oh God. So this is one of these shows that cuts into that, unless, of course, you just go with, oh, the Doctor just didn't know it. So stupid. Oh, God. But anyway, back to when the shows were good. They get split up, Tegan and Nyssa, and this splits between 1977 and 1983. So Brigadier had retired at that point and was teaching at the school, and you have the two different versions of the Brigadier, with some hair dye, and it works, and a mustache. And Tegan meets him, and then there's the cool things where the Brigadier starts to remember, yeah, Tegan, I know a Tegan. And the Doctor's like, how could you know? And he realizes what's happened and all this. And it's a good runaround between the two eras and all of this sort of stuff. And, of course, a cool overall explanation of the Brigadier doesn't recognize the Doctor. Oh, of course, he's regenerated again. No, he doesn't remember the Doctor at all, and then they realize, well, why? And, of course, the ultimate outcome of the show reveals what happened to his younger self from 77. He met his future self, and you're not supposed to do that. And when they touch, there's this, big bright thing. So Mawdryn is is sort of the leader, I guess, of this group on this ship that's just been, I don't know, floating around in orbit for God knows how long. And no one noticed it, but hey, what the hell? And they're trying to figure out what to do. So they stole this device from the Time Lords, and when the Doctor finally sees it, he says, oh yeah, that's one of these I don't know, regeneration aids or whatever, in case something goes wrong with the regeneration process. These machines will help you figure it out, which is one of the things about it's probably really dangerous to regenerate for a Time Lord off of Gallifrey. If you did it on Gallifrey and something was going wrong, you could deal with it through that. And I guess it might have been the means by which the Doctor could have, gotten through his current regeneration when he was, all messed up and needed the zero room and all that. But anyway, these guys stole it in the hopes that they could recreate the ability of regeneration. And they sort of do, but it's not really to their liking. They just keep mutating and turning into hideous creatures. And they can't die. It just keeps going and going and going. And so the only means by which they can finally just end it and die is to make use of the Doctor's regeneration energy that he has. That would be enough to kill them. I'm not quite sure how that would work. It seems like that would just be more energy to regenerate them, but that's the dose of energy they need. But in order to do this, the Doctor would lose all his future regenerations. But little did he know he has an unending ability to regenerate, because well, he's really some little girl from another universe. Yes, he just forgot because, you know, they zapped his brain and whatnot. So ultimately he doesn't have to, thanks to the Brigadier. So Brigadier shows up and meets his other self. And that's another one of these things about, well, wait a minute, the Doctor always meets his other selves in the specials and whatnot. Yes, but physically they're very different. So it's something about that where it's, you know, the two Brigadiers are they look alike. They're just, you know, one's older and that's about it. But other than that, it's pretty much the same man existing at the same time and coming into contact. And the fear was what would happen if they wouldn't wipe out the entire universe. Even the Black Guardian doesn't quite know. So through all this manipulation of trying to get Turlough to kill the Doctor, he suddenly says, forget about that. You got to stop these two Brigadiers from meeting. And so, because I don't know what'll happen, you know. And it says, well, now we know. Well, a big bright burst of energy happens, and the two guys kind of pass out. So, but I guess perhaps what also saved him is that this burst of energy goes through the regeneration device that was enough of the energy to kill off the Mawdryn and his pals, and so they didn't, you know, the Doctor didn't need to give up his regenerations. The ship itself that they're in is kind of interesting because it I don't know, to me I thought it was, is this supposed to be like a cruise liner in space? Because it's all fancy and stuff, but I don't care. It works, and it's the, you know, the kind of Scooby-Doo deal where they go from one door to the other and that kind of thing, and it's all fine. So it's an interesting element in that, in Time Lord lore for that sort of stuff, and also, if anyone would pay attention, kind of shows how the current idiot ideas of today don't quite fit. So a good reunion with the Brigadier, and of course, you know, you got to have some flashbacks to all the stuff of the Doctor, and the Doctor remembering Joe Grant and Sarah Jane and all that, you know, and then the Brigadier, oh, it's starting to come back to him and all. And realizing that this encounter is what caused it. So older Brigadier keeps his memories and so on and so forth. And so once again, they saved everything. And of course, this is one of those episodes that puts the Brigadier in that, you know, probably one of the few who's had the chance to meet all the Doctors up to that point, you know. And then of course he's going to show up in 5 Doctors. But there you go. He's one of the few people who's encountered just about all of them, and I guess theoretically, even after he's dead and turned into a Cyberman, he meets Peter Capaldi. So there's that, you know. But anyway, yeah. So it was just cool all around, and why I was kind of surprised that this was like the substitute story, you know. But it just works very, very well. And of course, you know, you have the sinister elements of Turlough being on there and thinking, oh no, how's that going to turn out, and all that. So yeah, I just think it's really cool. Now apparently another idea was that they said, okay, we're going to want a past character to return, and won't that be nice? And apparently they wanted Ian to do it, but William Russell wasn't available or something like that, couldn't come back. And, you know, I mean, of course, he had been a teacher, so I guess it made more sense. But, and I don't know if they would have done it where, I guess, the same plot, that he would have been splitting, you know, the 2 different versions of him. And then I think they were thinking of Harry Sullivan, but ended up, you know, going with Brigadier, which works out really well. And overall, it's really good that it turned out the way it did. So yeah, this is one of my favorites. If anything, I guess the business of the Doctor, you know, you got these people, yeah, they screwed up, they stole this technology, they shouldn't have done it, and now they're paying the price, but their only hope is to die, because they, you know, otherwise they keep suffering in their misery. And you can see the torture that this guy was going through. He looked very different at first, and then he turns into this thing with his brain coming out of his head. Like, the guy is hideous. Oh yeah, and it was also a cool return of Tom Baker's coat. But Well, the doctor is like, yeah, but if I help you, I'll lose all my regeneration. But, if you had a certain amount of regeneration, you would want to hold on to them too. So you can't just treat them like Romana did, just like changing clothes. That's being a little too flighty with something like that. But of course, maybe subconsciously he knew that they would go on forever. Which, of course, if he did, he wouldn't have objected to the idea. He says, "Yeah, all right, I'll give you some regeneration energy, and it'll be fine because he's got plenty." Yeah, oh boy. So anyway, yeah, I think that's it's no Earth shock, but I think it's a really good Fifth Doctor episode and one of my favorites. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.